Hi, everybody, and welcome to Metaphysical Insights. This is live from the Oregon uh, Renaissance Fair at the Clackamas County Fairgrounds in Canby, Oregon. And this is a special, kind of truncated version. I hope it actually is a version. I don't know. Um, anyway, I thought maybe a little bit about metaphysics and ghosts from Middle Ages and um, the Renaissance and such from the place. I'm a wizard. Um, anyway, I will turn the camera. This isn't the best view of everything, but gives you a little bit of idea. Let me turn the camera around if I can. Um, okay, this is weird. Okay, the good camera. I don't see a way to. Oh wait, there we go. Yay. Sorry, I'm the pretty face, not the tech wizard. Anyway, the concept of metaphysics really started with Aristotle. And I'm just going to read a little bit of a summary about it here. The subject matter of metaphysics has been debated since the time when Aristotle first conceived the idea of the science. He himself speaks of the science we are seeking and describes it differently in different places. In Metaphysics uh, 4.1, he speaks of a science which studies being as being in contrast the science with special sciences like the mathematical disciplines, which investigate the attributes of part of being. Two chapters later, Aristotle speaks of a science which he calls first philosophy, because it grounds the first principles or axioms of the special sciences. But in book 4, he distinguishes three types of speculative sciences: physics, mathematics, and divine science. So that one must ask how he understood the relationship between the general science of being, first philosophy, and divine science. It is clear that divine science studies objects that are separate from matter and not subject to change. But Aristotle seems to have wanted to identify this science both with the investigation of being and with the science of principles of the science, on the ground that divine science concerns itself with the highest principle of being in general and can for this reason preside over the special sciences. At the same time, each of these definitions of metaphysics must be understood in accordance with Aristotle's own idea of what science is. In his conception, scientific knowledge is attained by way of the definition of the essential natures of things and the demonstration of the attributes which necessarily belong to them. Basically, Aristotle understood reality as an ordered structure. Okay. Um, to go into their full um, concept of Renaissance metaphysics and everything is something far more complicated. So basically, in the Renaissance, law, metaphysics, ghosts actually made their way into the law. And in minds of people in Tudor England, ghosts were a common and often unnerving part of life. The fear of spirits was deeply embedded in their belief system, as it was widely thought that ghosts were trapped souls between heaven and hell. These wandering spirits were believed to return to the living world because of unfinished business, unresolved guilt, or improper burial rites. They haunted the living not out of malice or malvoyance, but rather because they sought closure, forgiveness, or retribution. Some people thought spirits were sent to perform divine punishment, while others believed they were simply restless souls in need of prayers and masses said in their name to find them accepted. The ability to invoke stories involving ghosts in secular courts appeared for the first time in 1540 when the jurist Arnaud Le Ferron from Bordeaux published and commented on the city's customary law. He explored the following case: in when leave a rental house before the end of the lease, if it becomes infested by spirits. Reflections on the topic were abstract and remained unresolved till the 1570s, when the clause, the spec ghost clause, was finally declared to be admissible and became a matter of law. In tours, the presidential, or the presidal actually, royal court broke the lease or haunted inn. The former owner's ghost refused to leave the presence and harassed clients, leading to the ruin of the new manager. The clause spec um, oops, sorry. Anyway, ghost presence and ghost testimony was included in the laws. And the whole concept of ghosts and metaphysics changed over time. Uh, People believed in them. And the original in Europe started out with a combination of Roman and folk traditions and early church teachings. And the church, and there was a battle between, oh, they're demons or angels or not souls, blah, blah. So the Catholic Church decided, because people had all these real experiences, that ghosts were the returning beings of, or the returning souls of people who were in purgatory and were asking for help to ascend into heaven. And so the concept became more of Christian charity, asking what they do need, be respectful, offering the prayers and masses. There are cases of monks returning from the dead to tell their brother monks of having seen God's face, but their sins have kept them from fully embracing God and joining heaven. And so asking his brethren to pray for him and say masses. And then later he returned and said it had been successful and he's now in heaven. And so there are lots of cases like that. And that worked for a bit. The Protestant went back to ghosts being either souls or demons, that purgatory didn't exist. That was a Catholic fantasy, or, oh, I lost the word. Anyway, and so they went back to basically ghosts are demonic. And the people, though, didn't buy it because they were having all these visitations from loved ones. And so you had a conflict between the Protestant church and the people in what was going on. And for those of you who know the Protestant Reformation and so much more, that isn't surprising. Anyway, there were cases too of revenants, they were called, where corpses would reanimate and come and stalk the streets at night. And there's a case that's recorded of one revenant of a man that was buried in a monastery, and he started coming back to life at night. And the monks one night got their weapons tooled up and attacked him with an axe. He went back to his coffin, to his grave, and the next morning the monks dug him up, found the corpse with a new axe wound, and burned him, and he quit walking the streets. And these are people who are thought to have been buried out of, they were people who weren't stuck with the church. They were more sinful. They were buried unconsecrated. They hadn't had all the last rites, and that kind of thing. And really, throughout all of this, ghosts and the concept of ghosts were used as a way to support the concept of purgatory and the need for right living and the need to pray for and say masses for the dead. Notice a lot of those things included extra ties with the church, but there was also sincere belief in a lot of this, I think. And there were lots of different pieces to that. During the Renaissance, often there'd be Arthurian ghosts romances where the ghosts were appearing to knights to guide them, to give warnings, to help them. There were ghosts that were benevolent and were really doing a lot for people. Sorry, get a little distracted from people watching. And it was a complicated time with everything. And of course, you have church hierarchy. And by the Renaissance, you have the Protestant and the Catholic church hierarchies with two totally different perspectives. One actually respecting the ghosts as legitimate souls and beings to be listened to and to be respected and valued, which took away the fear of the ghosts. And then the Protestant version, which said they were evil, demonic beings. So, as somebody who deals with ghosts pretty much every day, or works with them, or the paranormal, or those that pass metaphysics, I find them to be unique individuals of a variety of types, and nothing evil, nothing scary. Some try to be, but if you know what they're doing, they aren't. And a being that needs to be respected and honored just like everybody else. And they are not trapped. They are not demons. They have free will. And they are beings themselves. Okay, everybody. Short show today. I hope it made some sense. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.